Okay, bye.
All right, have fun.
Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Alaya as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Alaya, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio on OMTimes Radio. And welcome to my sanctuary on the air. Today, every month, I have my good friend Charlie, the Riverman Bergeron, with me. And we're going to discuss a word that we've been throwing around. Well, actually, it's been throwing around the world. It's violence. And this is purely non-thought of, these are just spirit-guided talks. So let me first get Charlie on there. Charlie, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? How's everybody doing? We're holding our space and evolving probably quite rapidly at this point. So I think we're all feeling a little bit of
being up.
Yeah, some crazy energies, and so with that, yeah, the word violence is pretty much on everybody's front page.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know every morning, I wake up, look at the, in the internet news, stick the computer on. My husband thinks I'm addicted to the computer. Could be. Get up, coffee, put the computer on, and there's always an act of violence. And it's just like, when can you wake up and see something nice? I was thinking of that graphic that's going around on social media of the, with the movie about the Green Mile, about this, very beautiful soul that was in prison, with Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, boss, I'm so tired of people being mean to each other. Mm-hmm. And that's so true. When we use the word violence, what kind of energy is it? And I think just briefly talking to you a few weeks ago, you brought up anger and frustration. Elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's funny. I agree. It's funny. I just threw some words down on one of my notes, computer notes, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and that's what I do. I don't try to ruminate too much about all that's going on. I usually get a vision and I get information, but the words were separation, fear, lying, mistrust, anger, rage, violence. And I said, wow, there's a real progression in those words. And
there is no death,
I think that
only a change of worlds.
The energy of violence is really, it's energy. And when what I've been noticing, even in myself and trying to, talking with my higher self about this, that violence exists and has existed even before humanity inhabited planet Earth. And I just want to touch on that. Violence is basically just an explosive, it's a burst of energy.
But when you say a burst, to me that says creational.
Well, this is the other side of what. This is what I want to bring out, is that there's another side. What we happen to be focused on the destructive side. Not that violence it is destructive, but it's also creational in the same moment. And what I refer to, and I just want to touch on it, is earthquake, volcano, typhoon, or tornado. Tornado is very violent. Hurricanes. This is Mother Earth's energy. and it's non-intentional violence. It's just energy, and while it is destructive, it does kill things, be they natural or human. Even if human wasn't humanity before we were here, it destroyed things, and then things regrew out of that, re-evolved out of that. So I just wanted to bring out in the beginning of the show that there's another side of the word violence other than separation, fear, lying, mistrust, anger, rage, because those are more in line with our human attributes to the energy.
How we react and how we choose to react.
Yes, the word choice came up again.
It's here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. Until I think people actually realize that they're, again, here's the word, victim.
Perpetrator. That paradigm, exactly. Victim and perpetrator, and which side are, and we always are interplaying that until we move out of it.
And I wonder with all, there's other factors. It's confusing enough to deal with Mother Earth's energy. Mm-hmm. Things happen, and totally, like you said, things have to be destroyed before they can be, reconstructed. Or I like to throw this in, and I think somebody will know what I mean. The proverbial phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
The ashes to the, something has to totally, again, be deconstructed. Something whether it's within yourself or whether it's within the earth,
right,
before it can be rebuilt, into something better. But with the mass awakening, and like we talk about energy, everybody in the confusion of not knowing what's going on with this awakening. Some people are consciously aware of it. Some people are soul-wise have chosen not to be aware of it yet, but they feel the stirrings.
True.
They're picking up other people's feelings, and they don't realize they're picking up. And then you have the media. Now,
oh yes,
like television,
stirring the cauldron.
Yeah, I mean that's what's great about. Yes, I'm gonna put the plug in OMTimes. The conscious radio that is putting out ideas to people. Say, stop, think, look, listen. See what's going on here before you. Even if it sounds terrible, don't listen to the TV stations. Really, I rarely look at the news because there's one point where we need to be aware of what's going on in the world around us, but then there's another side where we need to be very selective as to how deeply we look at negative news reports. It's good to be aware of the negativity, but what's happening in the world is that the news media has now changed its whole format. It is no longer journalism. It is no longer serving the people. It's serving others who want to manipulate the people. Mm-hmm. This is a whole nother topic, but what happens in that, it creates a trigger within the human body which raises the endorphins, the testosterone, all the chemicals of your amygdala, and puts them into the flight or fight mode. And this is ancestral, and it's also goes back to our DNA linking with primates, because we're in the world of survival. Violence is very important,
Otherwise, we would not be sitting here having this conversation. So, so there's an attribute where the violence has, in many ways, had a positive outcome, even as destructive it is. And that's what I was relating to, even in the human facets of it. It relates to Mother Earth, the same thing. Things happen, and it's energy. And if we separate it from emotion, which is energy and motion, and look at it as just energy, and it's just the final outcome, the burst, the massive burst, the nuclear explosion of energy, rather than just the, sort of rough seas of energy.
And I know we're, behaving toward breaks, and the only point I want to make is we discuss subjects like this to just put different perceptions on it, because a lot of us look at social media, and it has, again, the good, the pros and cons, but it is such an emotionally charged unit on this internet that people are either saying, all right, let's change, let's do this, hearts are opening, yes, let's help this, and help these people, let's be aware of what's going on, and others are cowering in fear. Yes. What is going on here? So in our talks, for those who may want to listen, we're saying, look at this differently. You have the power within you and the knowledge within you. Just look at something, think on it, and you become empowered. And then you can change if you change yourself. And we'll be back.
Yes, we will.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
What if we got rewarded for every good decision?
Dinner. Meal needs a vegetable. Check.
Amazing!
Vegetables cooked with a healthier oil instead of butter?
Fantastic! Replacing bad fats with healthier fats, like those in canola or vegetable oil, is good for your heart. Take up the challenge for good health, because the you of the future will say,
fantastic!
Visit heart.org/face the fats. Canola Info proudly supports the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
Back with Charlie, and we have so much to cover. And I know in the third segment he's going to have a guided meditation. So I want you to be able to prepare yourself, to sit, to listen. If you're listening live, or if, you listen to the podcast, we've been talking a lot about ancestral healing, because we've come to realize that, as Charlie said, everything seems violent now, but earlier there was just as much violence, but people didn't talk about it. I think sometimes he and I choose subjects people don't want to talk about.
Well, and they need to be talked about. And this is, I think, what's happening for us, and this is the way out of the violence, is to talk about it. For thousands of years there has been violence, and I mean, you can look the articles that I sort of read leading into this. I mean, it starts with foraging for food and tribes, and it's linked to scarcity of food. Scarcity of food triggers violence in humans. We were nomadic people, and both nomadic and tribal people, and this aggression welled up with this because it's the same DNA as the monkeys who did the same thing. There wasn't enough food, and they lived in communities. The larger the communities became, the more violent they became. Yet on the other hand, there was a whole other tribe of primates that their expression was to have sex with everybody. And they lived right across the river from the violent ones. So here were the peaceful monkeys who felt that sex was, it wasn't love, obviously, but that if you mated with somebody, what you did was you were sharing your energy. So they were always giving and sharing, and the other ones were always taking and fighting. So this is a struggle that we've evolved from. Fortunately, we no longer are cannibals. But at one point in our history, we were cannibals. And so the ability to change what is in our DNA and from our ancestors is probably the greatest tool. And the only way we can do that is to be able to, on the surface level, is be consciously aware and be able to talk, be able to communicate. And that gets me back to, you look at the news media and you look at the perpetual fear mongering. That's what people are doing today. They're trying to agitate people and put them in a state of fright and of fearful, and trigger their amygdala into that fight or flight syndrome. And it's a natural response. And they know this. This is not something that just, by chance, this is just an accident. This is being perpetrated on humanity right now. People are being geared up. They want war. It's money. There's big money in this. Food, the scarcity of food. When we look, and I just went off, it's probably an offshoot, but when we look at the Muslim nations who are migrating or having to emigrate from their lands, it started with a drought. A lot of this has to do with arid countries, the Palestinians, they're arid countries where food is scarce and land is scarce and water is scarce. And so what happens is there's an overpopulation. And what do? You can't sustain yourself there, so you move, you migrate, just like we did thousands of years ago. And what happens is you move into the next tribal area, and that tribe, we're going to defend ourselves, we're going to kill you. And this has been perpetuated over and over and over again. And it's time now that we really take a look at who we are as human beings and say, I'm more than the monkey in the jungle. And so this is all in your DNA. And it was designed for survival. But we're now evolving to a place where that can't serve humanity anymore.
I was just thinking, listening to you, and it seems like in the past, our ancestors, they operated from the lower chakras, the root survival,
yes.
The
very
solar
good observation. Yes.
Power,
Mm.
and as it goes up. And now in this timeline, as we've all, and it's spiritual learning, spiritual growth. We keep on coming back until we finally get it. Right now, we're operating from the heart, higher heart, throat, pineal gland, and the crown chakra, and probably the soul star chakra. We're working from the higher
opening. It's opening now. This is the lotus opening, yes.
So when you're talking, I'm saying, again, we need that balance. Think of aggression, power, survival. We need to take over everything. We need to bully people. We need to manipulate people. We need to put fear in people versus, well, let's try and understand what these other people are going through. And we're going back and forth, the two sides. So I know what's coming up. You're going to, we're all going to join in a guided meditation, but it's ancestral. I've been reading this one book. I'm going to have this one author. And there's scientific knowledge that trauma, emotional trauma, is passed on from our ancestors to us. They've seen, it's not just a metaphysical thought. No, they've seen how post-traumatic shock or some kind of trauma of abandonment or trauma of lack is passed on to generations. If somebody experienced, like Charlie said, drought or the fear of war, this is passed on to our children. So it was really amazing when we talked and he said, "Oh, I have this meditation." I'm going, how perfect can we be?
Well, this is why they're guided talks, and we're not. I tell people all the time, I'm not trying to be an expert on anything. I have very little education in the world standards, and I'm that's just my call in life was to when I died to come back, and this is what I'm here to do. Is I'm here to offer information from the higher realms of each of us. It's not just me. Everybody that's listening to this can tap into that same stream of conscious awareness, because it is our divine conscious awareness that we're all working with. And this is why the violence becomes a big issue now, because we can't continually evolve bringing this with us. I always use the term the eye of the needle. You can't drag the whole camel and everything through the eye of the needle. And I always laugh and say, I'm told that my camel has a fat ass. So it's not my problem, it's my camel's problem. But, we have to retain a sense of humor in all of this. But the violence is amazing for humanity. Is there's self-directed violence, then there's interpersonal violence, and then there's collective violence. So there's even a strata in how we perpetrate this activity of violence towards each other. The DNA issue is something that I keep working with myself as I've cleared things in my own past and things that I've done. I mean, I've been violent, you've been violent, we've all been violent. We all have the capacity to be violent. And if you look in the mirror and say, "Oh, I've never been violent in a day of my life, never had a violent thought," break your mirror, because it's lying to you. Let's get real here. We all have that capacity. We've all felt it. We may not have killed anybody or to that level, but we've been there. We know what violence is. And many of us have had violence perpetrated against us. Okay? And that's been maybe the story of some people's whole life. It may have happened when they were infants. It may have happened in utero. And this is, again, you're not consciously aware of it. I'm not consciously aware of it. Yet it triggers and it stays in our DNA. I just get the message today or this morning. I've lost my notes somewhere at the computers or doing whatever they're doing. But there's ancestral DNA, and that when we're born, maybe it's in the meditation, that our own personal DNA strands in this life form are being programmed. We come in with a mind that's totally empty, a conscious mind. There's no information. I think I used the word hard drive, and it's blank, and it starts recording when we are in the womb. So we don't know where we've picked up a lot of our traits, but I can promise you can clean them and you can clear them.
Well, I know that we're going to do that in a short time, but I want to interject. Let's confuse everybody and add the aspect of soul contracts. We also said we choose our parents. So as souls, we incarnate to learn certain things. So there must be some kind of light filaments in our soul that are saying, okay, I want to come in and I want to experience such and such. But when we come into the physical body, we're receiving information, and because we're part of our parents, we're part of their selves. So now that I confused anybody.
Well, no, and I always say, because I have an issue with that personally, but I look at it and say, what if we chose? What if we knew at some level of our beingness before we were born, we knew exactly what we were coming here to do, and we decided, okay, this is the genetic encoding that I need in order to perform that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying. And I often said I should have decided to have better eyes and read the fine print.
We look at it from a human perspective as parents and mothers and fathers. But look, I want to play this in people's minds. Look at the genetic. Why is geneticism? Why are people working on that so diligently right now? There's a lot of reasons, but it's the key to the future of humanity, to manage our DNA in a better way.
That's true, and it's amazing. I know we're throwing on at everybody, but let's go with it. We'll have Charlie's meditation after this.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com. and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
Since the day I stopped drinking, my life has gotten better and better. I can't take any credit for it. It just seems that without alcohol, I think better, I'm more careful with money, I watch what I say, I don't get into trouble like I did when I was drinking. It's scary trying to walk through life alone, and today I have that very distinct feeling that I don't ever have to be alone again. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or AA.org.
Well, we're back. Now that we've totally confused you, I'm gonna hand over this segment to Charlie, because as intuitive as he always is, he always finds something right to put in here. So, Charlie.
Well, right, wrong, or indifferent, I will. You can guarantee I will come through with something. That's the nature of what I do. And so, in the context of what we are talking, I want you to notice that I have not brought up any violent issues. And the reason that's been an intentional thing is how can we talk about violence without expressing the end results? And because the end result is the part that damages all of us. And when you focus on the end result, you don't necessarily focus on a way to fix it because you become fixated at the end result. So, it's sort of like the score of the baseball game. It wasn't about the game. It was who won the game, and what was the score. So we don't want to do that. And we don't want to do that because we've done this for thousands of generations. So each of us have experienced anger, we've experienced rage, and have been violent and or experienced it towards us, which is what I said earlier. And it may be minor and it may be major. People are suffering from traumas that they're not even aware of. And today we have a great deal of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, because our bodies are changing and we can't handle it anymore biologically. So the answer is we have to reduce it somehow. So what I want you to do is just, we're going to do just what I call a meditational cleaning. And my message is we need to clean things before we clear them. If we don't clean them first, they keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So we want to clean them off, clean them out of our system, clean them out of our encoding, and then the deeper process of clearing will have more lasting effect on us. So when we were born, as I said before, we were in a state of innocence in actuality, and we had a brain that was like a hard drive and it was not programmed, but our DNA had the programming in it. Okay, and we carried it from our whatever ancestral strains we came from. And that can be many, not just what you appear to be in this lifetime. We could have been African, we could have been Japanese, all of this. The DNA has traveled and transformed so many thousands of times. We are each other, and this is why bigotry and racism needs to be ended, because we've all been the people that we're supposedly against, feeling animosity towards. So what I want us to do is we're going to turn back to that state of innocence, and we're basically going to send ourselves some love. And so what I want you to do is to sit back and take a deep breath, slowly inhaling, exhaling, releasing the atmosphere around you, the energy around you, just calming yourself down, getting yourself into a quiet stillness. My message yesterday morning was to sit in the stillness. What do I do with violence? And message came through, sit in the stillness. So we're going to sit in the stillness. I want you to take a moment to see yourself as an infant, a small baby, curled up, perhaps in a blanket, or nestled somewhere. Who you were as an infant. I want you to envision yourself as a small infant, a helpless infant, totally dependent on whoever's around it, whether it was your mother or your father or whoever it was that was in charge of you, because some of us were abandoned at birth and we don't. But I want you to just go to that place where you were an infant and just a safe, warm spot. If it doesn't appear for you, just rest in that sense of some other child envision another child in that soft, comfortable spot. Look around at your surroundings. Okay, try to envision where you were, what your surroundings were like. It doesn't have to be exact. Just know that here you are, this tiny infant in this new, completely new environment, totally foreign to you. Okay? Ask yourself, how do the surroundings feel? Are they pleasant? Are they fearful? Does anything come to your mind? What comes to your mind about your experience in that space, in that time frame of your early moments of life here in this incarnation? Look for your family members or tribe members, whoever your caretakers were. Try to feel their energy and just no judgment, just absorb how you're feeling. Know that these are our ancestors. Yes, our mother and father are our ancestors, and their mother and father. And we are now somebody else's ancestors. And that all of us are joined together by the DNA in that's created our physicalness, our energetic systems, our ability to comprehend or not comprehend. And I want you to just ponder if you feel that you were cared for or neglected. And the reason I say that is because this is the beginning of our energy system, our emotion, energy in motion system. Even though we don't have anything to relate it to, we sense it. We're empathic. We have to be empathic at that level of our beingness because our survival depends on it. Okay, allow yourself to feel if there's any fear. Does this beautiful, innocent child sense fear or abandonment or loneliness? Just allow yourself to feel it. Now, look back at yourself as this infant in innocence. Know that you are really, regardless of what's going on around you, you are innocent. You in this moment are not the creator of any of these feelings of fear or lack or happiness. You are reacting and responding to your environment. Know that within you at this point you are carrying DNA which has already been programmed to survive. And it's been programmed through your ancestors' lives. You are also carrying DNA, which is your specific DNA, that is here to be programmed in this lifetime by everything that you encounter, energetically, physically, every single sensory way that we exist. This is your divine self. What I want you to do now is pick up that child, carry that child in your arms, hold it, send yourself, that child that you have in your arms, that innocent, beautiful child who just appeared on this earth, I want you to send it as much love as you can generate from deep within your heart, your highest level and expression of love And I want you to take that love and pour it into this child. And I want you to send this child that message of how welcomed this child is, and how beautiful this child is, and how loved this child is. Breathe into that. Adore this child. Love this child. Know and tell this child that you are perfect in every single way you can possibly be. And now I want you to take this child, yourself, this innocent infant, and place it back in its bed, cradle, on the leaves, straw, whatever the surroundings are. And I want you to bow to this child. I want you to bow and say thank you. Thank you for being the innocent part of who I am right here, right now. You and I are one. And from this moment on, we will look at everything we do, everything we see, and everything we create in our conscious awareness from this point of perfection and innocence. And when you're ready, say goodbye, bless you, and know that you carry this child within your heart now. And return to the present moment. And I bless each of you with peace, light, and love.
Wow.
Me too.
I was getting a little lost there, and I'm going, oh, I looked at this thing. Great timing, Charlie.
Well, there you go. Not my time.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
I'm Alec Baldwin with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I grew up loving circuses and other traveling animal shows, but it never occurred to me what life might be like for the animals. Training wild animals to do things they don't understand takes force. Routine discipline with a hook or whip with the heel of a boot shows the animal exactly who's the boss. Don't patronize animal acts. please contact People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
757-622-PETA.
And I'm still a little zoned out here. But the thing is, that was quite a heart-expanding experience, and it was almost very cheery because so many of us, and maybe all of us, don't feel loved.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, there's so many levels of love. You know, what's given to you, or it's that heart-to-heart expression of feeling you're perfect as is. I mean, that's a whole nother, show going on there.
It taps into it, but the incredible part of that, or the whole concept of that, is that how can we hate if we truly love ourselves? And how can we be violent if we truly love ourselves and see our innocence and our perfection? And as I started looking things up, the amazing thing was Martin Luther King came up everywhere, and I just want to read this one thing that he said on violence. And there were a lot of quotes on violence. He was an amazing person who endured a lot of pain and a lot of understanding. And the pain of that understanding. But he wrote this: the ultimate weakness of violence, and note he said the weakness of violence, it's not as powerful as we think. The ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral, begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence, you may murder the hater, but you do not murder the hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. And so it goes. And that's the essence of when I thought about that. I said, where do we gather this sense of hatred? That wasn't even one of my words that was on my list to begin with. And I said, wow, and where does that come from? And it comes from many of our experiences in life and the forgetting of who we truly were when we entered this third dimension as children. So that's the whole process, is trying to clean that slate and establish a new foundation to build on.
What's great is with the podcast, people can go back to this, the show if they want to, and listen to this meditation, because so where does the hate come from? It's the inner child not feeling safe, not feeling loved, not feeling perfect as they are. It almost, I'm going through my own experiences, and you want to cry.
Yeah, and and many people will respond differently, because I don't know where everybody is, but I know in myself, that's it. Whom I'm really forgiving is myself many times, just for my lack of just love of self, my presence, my ability to be here and to reason and to share the show with everybody. And I can honestly tell you that in my first trip here, that this is my second trip in this body, and the first trip was not what you hear speaking now. It was there. It was down deep inside, but it was buried beneath so much pain and so much anger and so much suffering that it couldn't see its way out. And so I know what that feels like. I don't talk from a place of not knowing. I know it's not just some airy fairy guy who thinks he sees angels. I've lived that life. I've lived that life very deeply.
Yeah, you have to sometimes walk the walk. I keep on telling people, or they'll say about how can you understand how I feel about being ill or my fears, and both Charlie and I could say we've been there. We've walked that in your shoes. We know what it feels like, and we don't have all the answers, but our heart's open to you. And let's work on this together. So, we're both very, and I mean, Charlie and I just happened to meet a few years ago because of the crystal skulls, and, then we kind of realized that we have something to share. It kind of gives you the balance between the male and the female. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay.
No, you're good. You're doing. Yeah. No. And we saw each other we saw ourselves in each other in many aspects, and that's the whole thing when we can. It's a common expression when the other person is my mirror, and I can see myself in that person. And not run away or want to kill it, then I'm making some progress, and so that's this is where we're at as a collective humanity right now, and it's a challenge, but I think we're up to it. I really believe that we're going to make it through all of this.
And that's why, like in the last few minutes, I told Charlie I'm going to take over on this here. But that's
you go, girl. Yep.
Okay. Very grateful to be able, where your life has brought me, and from the different connections I've met people in my life, and it's brought me to this point here. And even, dragging Charlie with me, and he goes like, I don't know about this. I'm going, yeah, we can do it. I don't know what I'm doing either. So we both, decided to do this, and it works. We don't take ourselves seriously, but being on the air, we just really want to let you know that we offer a different way of looking at things, and it's not something we studied. It just it kind of comes out. And Charlie is an amazing guy. He's very poetic, where I'm kind of zoned out, I was just telling him, I think we're the Kelly and Regis of the metaphysical shows here. But we have something to share, and, he's able to be poetic and to get the guided meditations. Like I said, I'm kind of zoned out because of, I'm very teary at the moment. But these are things I'm working on with my inner child. I was always a person. Now, I don't have an inner child. I was always considered myself like grown up from the age 2. I forget somewhere the childhood got lost there. But now I'm reverting back. And I'm learning, and I'm seeing patterns in my ancestral, then DNA that needs to be adjusted. And that's why I'm bringing up this point in the last few minutes of I'm doing a lot of growing and changing, and from everybody I've talked to on these shows, I've learned from them. And some people say, well, where can we connect with you? Well, I have a website, Sanctuary of the White Dove, but that's going to be changing because I see the need for different type of work that I can offer people. So I'm mentioning the website now that I have some consultations which are available. And then when I get more involved into where I'm progressing, I'll let people know that. So we just want to let you know they're available. And Charlie, tell them where you have your WordPress. I mean, where they can contact you. Maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you can just Google Charlie Riverman Bergeron, but my blog is Reflections of Riverman, and it's done from the highest level of myself. So the messages are of light and love and reflection, and I'm available pretty much anywhere. Facebook. If you really want to connect with me, you will. And that's how I roll. I look at it and people say, "Oh, you should do this and you should do that." And I said, right now I'm in the process of transition, and I'm being told to sit in the stillness. And so when I'm ready, and if you're ready or whatever, you want to connect with me, please do. Connect with me on Facebook or my blog, or my information's out there.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing is, we both committed to doing the show together, at the end of every month. And of course, I'm going to try dragging him in here and there, when there's more time available, he's available. Because the show is also growing. It's, we've been told that at some point you'll be able to have call-ins, which I think he and I will find absolutely great, because we both like to interact, with anybody that's listening, because that's the whole thing. It's like a one-to-one. We're not out here talking at you, so if you're able to talk back to us, this will be very exciting. So watch for the changes.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
We're all evolving. All evolving.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. And thank you, everybody out there.
Yes. Bless you.